So in my previous video, we pretty much learned that taking the occasional gamble does sometimes pay off. At least in my case, it finally did after having a hard week of only earning for 7 days between part-time YouTube, Amazon, and gig works $314. But in this video, man, does hard work and patience truly pay off versus gambling. Now, I mean, I didn't make $1,300 this week, I'll be clear about that. But I did get some super such great orders that I gotta go through this with you guys. I don't even see this stuff on a regular basis, so I gotta go through this. But we're also gonna go through that whole trigger word, compensation. We are going to go through shop and pay orders and a lot more in this video for only 3 days, actually 2 days worth of gig work. So that's how much was crammed into 2 days, and 1 day of only content paying for itself. Let's go. YouTube started on September the 5th, Thursday, September the 5th. On YouTube, I scored $16.70. And if anybody's wondering why Thursday, it's because the series started on a Thursday, so I cover a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in one video. And on the next video, I'll be covering Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we got the $16.70 for YouTube and the $1.90 for Amazon. Now on Thursday, I started just after 6:15 p.m. So if you can remember in my last video, I did mention that I walked out, luckily, from the casino with $1,300. But what I did not mention is I was not home till 1 a.m. and I had to get up at 6:30 in the morning for my son for school. So this mama was very tired. So I was slow at getting out on Thursday, but I did get out. And Uber got me this awesome $11 for 16 minutes, 2.9 kilometers from my favorite location, Deli Kebab. Now, I believe that the $11 marks hidden tips with Uber, because you'll see why in a minute. But of course, I did take that order. The client wanted 9 items, and Deli Kebab took only a few minutes to prepare that order, and it was ready to take. Now, Uber quoted $11 for 16 minutes, but I ended up getting $13, and it only ended up taking 20 minutes. So with these $11 orders, I'm noticing a huge pattern of hidden tips. You're gonna keep on seeing that throughout. Keep watching. Let's keep going. So they are definitely a trend, and I can't complain. But Uber then tried after to give me this disgusting $9.62 for 34 minutes for 32.5 kilometers for Tenka Sushi. It's horrible, Uber, horrible. I got more worried that I wouldn't get much though, because I finished that Deli Kebab order before 7, and now we're basically only 30 minutes afterwards, but I'm getting barely any orders. But I did get this very first shop and pay order since starting this series. Guys, you got to see this one. I have everything written down, of course, so that I make sure I got everything covered, but let's get into this one. So this was a shop and pay order, and normally actually I don't take shop and pay orders during dinner time, but it is 7:30 at night. I'm already not getting anything. The only thing I ended up getting was what, $13? Yeah, basically. And now I got to get the ball rolling so that I can make some money. So it's nearly 7:30 and Uber sends me this one order. $27.56. 7 items, 8 units for 54 minutes for 13.5 kilometers for Costco with a drop-off in St. Lambert. Now the price for the units was amazing, and the 13 kilometers is a bit of a drive out, but I knew after this, I mean, I wasn't going to get any other orders. It was already 7:30. They're saying it's going to take about an hour, so that wraps me up to about 8:30, so I was good with it. So I headed over to the Costco, but while I was looking into the order to see what the client wanted, I noticed the item count went up to 11 with now 12 units. And I knew that I screenshotted the order and it showed 7 items and 8 units. That's the advantage about doing this for YouTube, is you can check back. But I was excited to actually see more items. If the original order came in for $27 for 7 items, I could imagine what it could be if it was for more items. So I was really happy to see this. So I got to a very busy Costco, and I guess because everyone got paid on that Thursday and rent was already paid, they were all there. So I checked out the items that Uber showed me that, let's say, the paper towel was recently added by the client, but overall most of the items were actually just food items, which made this super easy because this is my original Costco that I go to on a regular basis. I do go to the same Bruno one too, but most of the time I go to Brossard, if I'm going to be honest. So things that they wanted is like they had on special Bounty paper towel, $24.49 for 12 rolls. Then I headed over for the Kirkland rotisserie chicken for $7.99. But the client also wanted one of the bags of baby cucumbers. I took the one with less steam in the bag because I noticed one of them had more steam. And I wanted to make sure that it was not like moldy food or whatnot for my customer. And so then I ended up going to the fridge section, and of course we had to get them their creamy dill pickle salad and the sweet kale. And then we come to the part of exchange as needed. So I mentioned in my previous video, I've mentioned this throughout all my videos, my writing in French sucks, but I can speak French pretty decently. And returns and exchanges suck because when your customer's name is a French name, it becomes a concern of, am I going to be able to accomplish this in French? But I had to reach out to the client because the client ended up wanting to get green grapes and blueberries. Now, I did find the green grapes later on, but the blueberries was a no-go. But I was happy one thing, the customer did speak English, so I was able to go to the replacements. Now, the one thing I wanted to do is make sure I got replacements because I had a strong feeling this was going to be a percentage-based tip, and keep watching to find out more about that. So after getting those things sorted out, I got the cold brew coffee and I headed to the cash. Now, for those wondering, by the way, on how to do the checkout, I have blurred out the customer's barcode for their own safety, but basically you're going to see this screen that you're currently seeing right now in front of you, and underneath that is the barcode. All you have to do is get the cashier to scan that given barcode, not your Costco card, not yours, theirs. It's their Costco card on the barcode, and that's simply how you do it at checkout, and then you proceed through. So I got everything paid and completed, and I went to drop off the client's house. And I was very happy for the few extra items because at the end, the order went from $27.56 to $34.32 for 1 hour and 9 minutes. So the extra time was due to the extra items, so I was fine with that because the client tipped me $22.34, and the order was originally a $149 Costco order. So yay me, that was a good one. So my total between Shop and Pay and Deli Kebab was $47.32. And if we add Uber and Amazon to that, YouTube and Amazon to that, my daily total was $65.92 for that one day. And I only went out for about essentially 2 hours. So I was not complaining. But there was something else. I started checking some things on Uber when I ended up getting home. And I noticed something that I got for the first time ever. And I mentioned this in my last video that I was going to show you something I got for the first time ever. It was my first ever thumbs down. Now, I started reflecting back on what could possibly do that. And on that day, it was the Shop and Pay and Deli Kebab, and those went fine. But I remembered back, if you remember on my previous video, there was 2 specific scenarios that could have caused a thumbs down. One was that $1 Mr. Tipper, but 2, the man that questioned me being an Anglophone. I didn't understand. There was no comments mentioning why I got a thumbs down. It's the first time I've ever gotten one in 2 years. So that was definitely something that made me question it, but you know, I can't really do too much about it, but I had now a 99% satisfaction rate, but I had no bad encounters from that day. I only had that one interaction. So I was initially wanting to investigate this, but it was already 9:14 at night. So I said that I was going to wait until the next day to get it resolved. And this is when a lot of things happen. Let's look into Friday. So Friday, let's start off with how much I made on YouTube. YouTube, $15.96. Amazon, $10.25. But my earnings from Uber actually started in the morning. So on Friday, like I do most days, now my kid is back in school full time. I took him to school, I went home that morning, and I decided to work on content. But the curiosity about that survey was really in the back of my head. So I told myself, put an earbud in, work on your content, and actually contact support and find out what happened. So that's what I did. So I end up contacting support. And I asked them just about the survey. And basically they told me there's nothing that they can do. They can't see it, which is fine by me. And that they will send it off for investigation. And if it can be removed, it'll be removed. If not, it won't. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Then they turned around and they said, is there anything else I can help you with? And I said, yes. previously I had an encounter with a supervisor a couple of days ago, and if you guys remember my previous video, I talked about the fact that I spoke with a supervisor because of the fact that food got stolen, and I was just looking for my $3, but you know, the supervisor said she was going to send it off for review. So the agent proceeds to tell me that, well, there was nothing sent off for review. She documented the account, but there was nothing. However, it was the agent that said, let me transfer you to a supervisor now, because obviously she did not fulfill that request and send it off. And I said, fine. I already knew that, you know, she wasn't going to send it because she pretty much hated my guts, but that was okay. So I said, okay, transfer me to a supervisor. I'll talk to them. I'm just editing my content, whatnot. And they transfer me to another stupid customer service agent. Sorry, point blank period. That's what happened. Re-explaining it to that agent. Guess what happens again? They say they're going to transfer me to a supervisor. They transfer me to a third freaking customer service agent. Now at this point I'm pissed off and I'm annoyed. I might be editing my content and doing my own thing while I'm, you know, calling in between, but this is damn annoying. But I did get a supervisor. And when I got the supervisor on the phone, even she said the previous supervisor never sent the earnings off for review, never did anything. So she basically just felt bad for me because I've now been on with 3 agents prior to her and everything else. And she proactively offered me $20 compensation. So right there, right off the bat, I got $20 compensation for doing absolutely nothing and just calling because of the fact that I was going to call just to find out about a survey. The survey, in the end, she sent it off to be reviewed. Is it going to be anything? I don't know. Do I really care? No. Curiosity kills the cat. I was curious, but at the end, it's just a survey. It doesn't matter. We're going to get thumbs up. We're going to get thumbs down. I was just questioning things, but no time did I ask to speak to a supervisor on that day. I just wanted to know what was the status from the supervisor sending it off, and in the end, I got $20. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, it took 3 transfers, but at least I was editing. Now, as for the orders, I got out just after 6 p.m. and I managed to get a dash along the way with DoorDash until 7 p.m. And Uber wanted to waste more of my time by once again asking for a picture of myself, but because I wanted to multi-app, I gave in to them. So Uber then sends me this $8 for 17 minutes for 5.1 kilometers for Papa Jackie. And that's not a bad order for a Friday night, but I wanted more. I was being greedy, and I know $8 is not a hidden tip, it's $5 tip. So now DoorDash decides to push me this double stack, $14 for 12 kilometers for Krispy Kremes and Paris kebab for 2 client drop off, but the dollars for kilometers was not cutting it for me. So then Uber sent me this, $19 for 14 items, 17 units, 3.7 kilometers for Super C for a drop off pretty much on Grand LA. Now, if it wasn't for a Friday dinner rush, I would have done that, but instead I accepted this offer from Uber. $11.59 for 17 minutes for 5.8 kilometers for Karahi Point for a drop-off close to the Brossard Market. I wasn't exactly next to the restaurant, but it was about 1.5 kilometers away, so it was a great price. And remember, $11 is that hidden tip that I talk about. So I ended up going to the Karahi Point. It's a newer place. I have gone there previously, but I normally don't go and do their orders because they take forever. But it was an In-N-Out case, and I ended up getting their combo meal with 2 items. After getting that order picked up and dropped off, I was on the phone with my brother when Uber tried sending me this double stack $11.34 for 24 minutes for 7.6 kilometers for sushi, but I refused it because I didn't feel like it was worth the double for a drop off that far down St. Lambert. But then DoorDash was sending me this $8 for 3.9 kilometers for Harvey's. And I figured maybe just take one, maybe it's not a high tipping Friday, so I accepted it. But as I was on my way to the Harvey's, so if you take a look at the dash cam footage, you're going to see that I'm at a red light. And at that red light, you go straight, you're in Harvey's. You turn left, you're on the other side of Tasharoom. And I'm glad that I was at a red light because Uber sent me this $18 double stack for 29 minutes for 8 kilometers for Arahova and Sushi Shop. And while I was at the red light, I had 2 choices. Go straight to Harvey's and do DoorDash, or get rid of DoorDash. So I ended up going with my judgment, and I decided to take the hit on my cancellation rate, bring that down to 98%, and cancel the order, and go and do that Uber order. Now, this order is the one you want to see. Trust me, guys, this one was awesome. Because in the end, I was even in shock, so you got to keep on watching. My brother and I stayed on the phone together while doing the orders. He was doing some DoorDash orders. When I got the Arahova order, client wanted a simple gyro plate and some cheesecake, and it was ready on the counter. I got it and went, but the sushi order was the next one. Now, this sushi order was my largest order I have ever seen. 17 items. Guys, you've got to look at this list of all these things listed by the customer. And I did check the bill, and it was a $202 order. You can imagine my thought process when I'm getting this order. So I thought the Arahova would not be too much, but it was the first drop off and the sushi was the second. Now, when I got the first one done, it was one of those high-rise condo complexes, and the man met me at the door. Now, I don't know basically how to say this without sounding like cocky or overconfident, because that's not the approach that I'm going for. But when I dropped it off with the meat at the door, like, the gentleman was around my age group. He was very polite. He seemed like very happy with the service. And I don't know if that's just because I was a female driver or what, but I wasn't expecting much tip from him. But keep on watching. Now, his was just a 2 item, so I didn't expect much, but I ended up getting the sushi order dropped off. Now, I'll go over the tips for both of these in a little bit because my orders did not just stop there. I refused this $16.50 for 14.6 kilometer DoorDash order for a shop and pay for Maxi for 12 items. Red card required. I don't even know what my red card is, guys. I don't even think I have it anymore. And then I did accept this small 7.7 kilometers for $7.7 for 3.2 kilometers for St. Hubert with DoorDash because it was already $7.45, so I didn't think I would get that much. But here is where it goes wrong. It's another St. Hubert order. In my last St. Hubert order, it was the reason why I reached out to support with Uber because the order got stolen. Guess what, my lovelies? I get to the restaurant and the restaurant says they don't have it. And the reason why they don't have it is he tells me to look into the order. The order is 2 plates of fish and chips. He says we don't have fish and chips, so automatically we don't get the order. So guess what I ended up having to do? Yep, that's right. I ended up having to unassign it. So I go in and I canceled it with DoorDash, but the good part is that it does not affect my cancellation rate because it's not my fault. But I told myself that I would stay out to maximum 8:15 because my brother was out, and so I checked my orders. So let's go back to that $11 hidden tip strategy. The Karahi point was $11.59 to $13.60, so got $2 more. And again, my night was not done. I ended up getting this awesome $12.07 for 18 minutes for 4.3 kilometers for 3 amigos with a drop-off in Brassard. And this is at 8:06 p.m., 10 minutes before I was going to cut it short. I knew 3 amigos would be busy on a Friday, but I got parking easy, and the client wanted 7 items for a total of $12, so I was happy with that. So I got it and dropped it off, but I never expected all of these tips in the end. This is the fun part. So for the Arahova and the sushi order, I made a total, ready, of $43.60. Imagine, I gave up an $8 DoorDash Harvey's order, either go straight or turn left, for that order. The Arahova with that gentleman, I told you, it felt like he got good vibes. He only had 2 items. I think his order was like $40. He ended up tipping me a little bit of over $8, which is very generous. And when it came to the sushi order, huge, one of my biggest tips for food so far, $31.30 tip. So that was a nice 15% tip on a 202 orders, but the tips did not end there. I never expected the 3 amigos order to be this. It went from the $12 and $12.12 or something like that. Either way, it ended up being a straight flat $20 tip. I had no idea that was going to come true. So for just over those 2 hours of doing deliveries, not counting the $20 that I got in the morning, I got $80 in 2 hours doing Friday deliveries. Add that $20, I cleared $100.32 on Uber, plus my YouTube, plus my Amazon. I got $126.53. Now on Saturday, I still can't believe I got those orders. They were so cool. On Saturday, I ended up having Friday night when I got home a sciatic nerve spasm that I've never had before. I just turned on the fan to go to bed, and it was shock waves going through my back, excruciating pain. So Saturday I had a birthday party to go to, and after I got out the birthday party and with the condition in my back, I decided to take it easy on Saturday. So Saturday it was only YouTube and Amazon. So YouTube, $20.98. Amazon, $4.38. So the total on Saturday I ended up earning was $25.36. Now for my first 3 days of doing gig work, Amazon and YouTube, we're off to a lovely start, my lovelies. $217.81. And you should see the stack of papers here I have just to keep the script going. Crazy. That was a very, very good 3 days. I cannot believe that just checking on my surveys and is there anything else I can do for you ended in a good result when it comes to getting the $20 from Uber. Those hidden tips, that shop and pay order. Like, this is why I still do shop and pay orders. $34 for an hour of my time. Who would not take that? But I'm very, very stingy on shop and pay orders. And like I said, dinner time, I don't normally take them, but it was 7:30 at night. It was just overall hard work did pay off this week. I'm looking forward to seeing, because I got this done. What are we currently now? We're Monday, so Sunday, Monday, I don't do gig work, so that's why I'm doing these videos. So I'm looking forward to seeing what I get starting, or I would say starting as in working, but for the end of this week to transition out. I mean, YouTube and Amazon have not been that great, but let's see if we can pick it up in gig work. I'm looking forward to this. This is fun doing this series, and I'll catch you lovelies in the next video.